Ladies and gentlemen, you see, people keep asking, who am I? They go to books, astrologers, therapists, even social media. But what they really want is someone to give them a label that feels good, something shiny, something spiritual. But I must tell you, God is not interested in your labels. God is not your therapist. God is the mirror that never flatters. The time is coming, maybe already here, when what you pretend to be will no longer hold. What you believe you are will begin to crack. This is not punishment, this is grace, because God is about to reveal who you really are. But let me warn you, it is not always comfortable, truth really is. When the divine reveals your essence, the first thing it will destroy is your ego. All the lies you built so carefully, your image, your titles, your importance, poof, gone, and suddenly you're naked, not in body but in identity. If you're smart, you'll stay still in that moment. If you're foolish, you'll run back into another identity. So I am not here to comfort you, I am here to prepare you. When God reveals you to you, are you ready to see it? Because your real self, it's not buried somewhere in the Himalayas. It's not hidden in some ancient text. It's right here. Beneath all the noise, all the ambition, all the fear, you are not becoming something. You are unbecoming everything that is not true. You don't have to go chasing after God. Just get quiet enough and the revelation will happen like a sunrise, like a sunrise. Slow, silent and absolutely undeniable. But remember, when it comes, don't resist, don't cling, don't argue, just bow. Because when God reveals who you truly are, it is not just knowledge, it is liberation. The illusion of identity, you have worn so many masks that now the face underneath feels like fiction. And the strange thing is that you keep polishing the mask, adorning it, defending it, even loving it. All the while forgetting that what you are loving is only a reflection of what you think you need to be in order to be loved, not who you truly are. From the moment someone called you by a name, handed you a role, pointed a finger and said, "This is what you are," you began living inside a box that keeps changing its wallpaper but never its walls, and you forgot to ask who built the box, who placed you inside, and most importantly, where did you stay? You are chasing success, attention, validation, but all of it is being collected by the false version of you. So even it comes, you feel empty, disconnected, as if your soul is watching from a distance, wondering how long you will keep feeding a ghost while starving the truth of your being. You say, I am a doctor, I am a teacher, I am a mother, I am a success, I am a failure. But none of these can survive even a moment of silence when you close your eyes. Because in that silence there is no career, no name, no gender or no applause, only the naked you, waiting to be remembered again. You think your personality is your identity, but personality is just performance repeated, habits rehearsed, emotions recycled. And just because you've been acting the part for a long time does not mean the script is sacred or the stage is home. What a strange tragedy it is that you could live an entire life without ever meeting yourself because you were too busy maintaining a version of you that made others comfortable, that helped you fit in, that got you applause but never peace. This identity that you protect so fiercely is the very cage that makes you restless. The bars are made of your own beliefs. Stop trying to be someone, even for a second, the walls begin to tremble. And what peeks through is not weakness but uncontainable truth. Uncontainable truth. And maybe, just maybe, the greatest act of courage is not in becoming someone important, in unlearning who you were never meant to be, peeling away each false layer, not in a hurry, not in a fear, but in reverence for the mystery that you are beneath all this pretending. The divine timing, you are always in a rush to arrive, to know, to become, to conquer. But the divine is not interested in your clock or your calendar, because what is meant to unfold through you will not obey your deadline. It will only move when the soil of your being is soft enough for truth to take root. You beg for answers, for signs, for breakthroughs, but the universe listens not to your words but to your readiness. And it will not pour light into hands still clenched in fear, nor will it send storms of transformation into a heart that is still addicted to control. You think you're waiting on God, but most of the time it is God who is waiting on you to break, to surrender, to get quiet enough, still enough, honest enough. Because grace does not shout over your noise, it whispers when you are finally willing to hear. You want the door to open now, but if it did, you would not recognize what waits behind it, because there is a version of you yet to be born. And until that birth happens, every blessing you chase would become a burden you cannot carry. The divine does not delay, it aligns, and there is a sacred choreography unfolding in the unseen where every setback, every silence, every slow season is not punishment but preparation, shaping you, stretching you, hollowing you so something vast can enter. Patience is not passive, it is participation in a rhythm older than time. And when you walk with trust instead of tension, even the waiting becomes holy, and the pause is no longer a punishment, but a space where your soul is being grown. You see others rising, running, reaching milestones, and you feel behind, but you do not know the cost of their pace. And you forget that the divine does not compare, it only completes, and what is meant for you will arrive not a moment late, not a moment early, but precisely when your spirit can hold it. So let the seed stay hidden, let the silence stretch a little longer, let the not knowing be your teacher. Because when the divine finally moves, it will not knock gently, it will pour through you like lightning through the sky, and everything that once felt slow will suddenly make perfect sense. The collapse of ego, the ego is not evil. It is just a frightened child dressed in adult clothes, always performing, always pretending, always protecting itself with masks and noise and opinions, terrified that without its little throne, you will be no one and nothing and nowhere. You build the ego not because you're arrogant, but because you were afraid, because somewhere along the way you were told that who you are is not enough, not safe, not worthy. So you wrapped yourself in image, in intellect, in identity, thinking that if you wore enough armor, life wouldn't hurt so much. But the ego is a hungry ghost that never gets full. It feeds on validation, it lives for control, it breeds comparison, and the more you serve it, the more distant you become from the vast, formless, luminous being that you truly are beneath all the layers. There comes a moment, not always loud, not always dramatic, when the scaffolding of who you thought you were begins to crumble, when the titles don't taste sweet anymore, when the applause sounds hollow, when the minute starts asking questions you can no longer ignore. And in that collapse, everything you were clinging to begins to slip. Your certainty, your pride, your narrative, your self-importance. And you panic at first because you think you're dying, but what's really dying is the illusion that was never meant to live forever. This is not destruction, it is revelation, because only when the mask falls can the face be seen. Only when the noise breaks can the silence speak. Only when the ego bows can the truth rise, and though it may feel like the end of something important, it is truly the beginning of something infinite. The collapse of ego doesn't make you less. It makes you real, it makes you soft where you were red, humble where you were loud, open where you were guarded, and suddenly you are not trying to shine anymore. You are simply letting the light that was always there come through. So let the collapse come, don't fight it, don't fear it, because what crumbles was never your strength, it was your shell. And when it falls away, you don't become small, you become spacious like the sky after a storm, not broken but finally clear. Silence and surrender. There is a silence that is not the absence of sound, but the presence of something deeper than thought, deeper than language, deeper than all your striving. A silence that waits beneath every moment, beneath every breath, calling you not to speak, not to achieve, but simply to be. You keep asking for answers, for signs, for clarity, but you're asking with a mind that never stops moving, a heart that never stops grabbing, and the truth is that the divine cannot shout over your noise. So it waits patiently until your restlessness collapses into stillness. Silence is not empty, it is full, full of the things your ego cannot grasp and your intellect cannot solve, full of mysteries that can only be known when you stop trying to know them and let yourself dissolve into them like a drop falling into the sea. Surrender is not weakness, it is the highest strength, because it takes more power to let go than to hold on, more courage to trust what you cannot see than to control what was never yours, more love to bow than to win. And when you surrender, you do not lose. You finally stop resisting what has always been trying to carry you. You have been taught that control is power, but control is just fear dressed in discipline, and all your pushing and forcing and calculating is like trying to hold back a river with your hands. While surrender is stepping into the current not because you gave up, but because you woke up. In silence you remember who you are, not through thoughts, not through effort, but through the absence of all the noise that never belonged to you. And when everything false goes quiet, what remains is not a voice, but a presence, not a concept, but a knowing that needs no words to be true. You do not find peace by building more walls or chasing more goals. You find peace when you sit still long enough for all your defenses to fall, for all your identities to blur. And then you see that the one who was searching was never separate from the source itself. So sit, breathe, let go, not to become something else, but to return to what you were before you began trying so hard. And you will see that in silence there is guidance, and in surrender there is strength, and in both there is a freedom, and in both there is a freedom so vast it cannot be described, only lived. Your essence is not hidden, You are just distracted, you keep searching for yourself as if you are misplaced somewhere between other people's expectations and your own unrelenting thoughts. But the truth is, your essence has never been lost. It has only been drowned beneath the endless noise you mistake for living. There is nothing wrong with you that needs to be fixed, only layers that need to be seen through. Layers of worry, ambition, comparison, fear, all of which you have worn like clothes passed down from people who never knew how to be free themselves. You think enlightenment is some distant summit only saints can climb, but it is far closer than your ideas about it. Because what you are looking for is not beyond the clouds, it is beneath your distractions, already pulsing quietly in the center of your being. Every moment you are pulled outward, into screens, into roles, into arguments, into the shallow waves of the world, you forget the deep well within you. And the forgetting isn't the problem, it's the fact that you rarely pause long enough to remember. Your essence has not gone anywhere. It is the stillness underneath your thinking, the awareness behind your eyes, the silence between your breaths, the part of you that has witnessed every thought you ever had without ever being touched by any of them. Distraction has become your default, not because the world is too loud, but because your attention has been trained like a restless dog to chase whatever moves, and the moment you bring it home, gently and patiently, your real self begins to return without effort. You do not need more answers, more content, more improvement. You need less noise, less rushing, less pretending. Because what you truly are does not need to be earned or proven, it simply needs to be uncovered like the sun behind passing clouds. So if you truly want to know who you are, stop looking outside, stop running from moment to moment to moment like something vital is missing, and instead sit, breathe, return again and again until you realize the light you were chasing has always been shining from within.